Hi everybody, I'm Byron. I'm here reviewing another episode of Family Ties. This episode is Death of a Grocer. Death of a Grocer. So it has to do with Alex works at a grocery store for some grocer named, I forget. It's Adler. Adler's Grocery. I wonder if it's a reference to Albert Adler. Albert Adler talked about the need to be important. So maybe it is a reference to Albert Adler. Is it Albert Adler? He's a psychoanalyst named Adler. Albert Adler. Anyway, I'll tell you the plot. So best joke happens, I think, right away. Where usually the best joke is one of the opening jokes. I've noticed that. That was there's the TV show Alice. Apparently, they would spend most of the day working on the opening joke. Most of the day, most of the work they would do would be on the opening joke for that episode. Anyway, in one of the opening jokes, Alex comes into Adler's Grocery, and he says, "Sorry, I'm late." And Adler goes, "You're not late." He goes, "Yes, I am. I'm supposed to be here 8 minutes ago." And he goes, 8 minutes is not late, which is pretty true. Most managers just want people who show up. That's their biggest problem. And I showed up to every job I had. I was late a lot. It depends on the job. If I had like a meeting or something, I wouldn't be late. But if I just had to show up and do stuff, then I'd be late and wouldn't really care much about it. No one would care. I'd have at my annual performance review, they'd say, "You gotta start showing up on time." And I'd be like, "Okay." And then I wouldn't. And it'd be okay. Alright, what's in? Oh crap, I can't read my handwriting. Rats. Anyway, he leaves the grocery store for a... Anyway, he leaves the grocery store for a large, big chain store, and he's head of cat toys. He's working in the cat toys department, which is not how large chain stores really work, but let's not bother with that. He's working in the cat toys department, and his goal is to climb the corporate ladder and do stuff like that. But, oh, no, we gotta talk about the great character that was introduced this episode. Skippy. In the opening scene, Skippy shows up. It's his first scene in the show. This is his first episode. Oh, Skippy. Skippy is one of the greatest characters. You're gonna love him. There was a joke he did. I laughed for 10 minutes. I swear. I saw that joke. Doing things. Oh, okay, so... And the parents do not want him to switch jobs. And so that's... Obviously, they think he should work for the little grocery guy, the small guy. That's who they support because they're a bunch of hippies. And not quite how the whole thing works, but let's just pretend hippies like, radical left-wing hippies like small businesses, and cold, heartless conservatives like big businesses. All right. Oh, and when he tells Adler that he's leaving and he's going to be in cat toys, Adler's like, "They make toys for cats?" Because he doesn't get it. And he keeps talking about how business has been bad ever since the 50s or whatever. And Skippy takes Alex's place. And Alex says, "Skippy set this place back 30 years. And Adler goes, "Great. Business was good 30 years ago." So it's a really weird joke in that it's true, but it's not, but it is, because it's just the way Adler and Alex think differently, is that Adler doesn't really want to move forward. He just wants to have his little grocery store, and chug along, have each day exactly like the last. Yeah, and Alex wants to move forward. He wants to push things. He wants them to buy a new freezer. Um, and and there's a subplot where Mallory likes a boy named Brad, and there's really just two scenes. One, she says basically she's trying to get Brad to ask him out, and she lies to him in order to get him to ask her out about how her life's so boring, she doesn't do anything. And then he finally does ask her out for Friday, and then she goes, "Oh, I'm busy," which she's not. And okay, it makes sense. And but then she's continuing to talk about this, and she goes, I have nothing to do on Friday night because I'm not going on a date with Brad because I told him I was busy." And he goes, "Oh, I'll find something to do on Friday night, no matter how stupid." And that's when Skippy walks in and says, "Hello, Mallory. I'm free Friday night." Skippy loves Mallory. Skippy loves Alex. Skippy loves everybody. Skippy's the best. Um, oh, and this is an interesting. It's the first episode that talks about Alex putting too much pressure on himself. It gets a little bit into that, but not much. It doesn't really. Alex mostly seems to be able to handle all the stuff he does. There's just a couple episodes where he can't handle it. The most famous episode, maybe sort of. Most famous episode is one where it's very interesting. I think it's the 100th episode, but I'm not sure. I'll get to it, and it might have a bit. It's a two-parter. It might have a bit of Alex pressure on it as part of the episode, but not really. In my recollection, it doesn't. There's really only one, which is probably the best episode, which is about the pressure Alex puts on himself, and it's I think in the next season. So, oh, and they talk about eventually Alex and his mom talk about how climb how Alex talks about how he wants to climb the corporate ladder, and his mom says climbing the corporate ladder is kind of pointless. And she says, "Where does it end? When are you ever satisfied?" And he goes, "I don't know." And they eventually talk about the end of the corporate ladder. He goes, "Chairman of the Cat Toys," which they missed a great joke. They didn't tell this joke that I'm about to tell you, and they missed it. The chairman of the Cat Toys would, of course, be Chairman Meow. Thank you. Thank you. Chairman Meow. Would that be Chairman of the Cat Toys? Anyway, so that's the big family. It's I guess the key relationship in this episode is Alex and his mom. But the final scene is between Alex and Mr. Adler, which should have been flipped. I think it should have been somehow flipped. I don't know how you do that, but the last scene should be between the two members of the family. Because I don't think we never see Adler again. So what do I care? What does anyone care about Adler? He's a nice guy. I'm sure he has a family that loves him. Let him be in his own show. The final scene should have been between members of the family. Anyway, that's my criticism. It's a great show. Very few shows even think to put in a scene like that, like the one Alex and Elise had. Much less put it at the very end to make sure it's the last scene. But the Brady Bunch would always have the bedroom scene at the end. That was sort of key to the show. I don't know. I don't even know about always, but it would usually have the scene with the parents in the bedroom, and that was very key to the show. Because between two of the main characters, that should be the last scene. No matter what the show is, it should be between two main characters. The guest star should leave before the last scene, even if it's not a family show. That's the key. And yeah, let me make sure. I feel I've done a very good job in this one, as I've done a few of the last ones. But I wish I could. What's in Pet Wars? I can't read my handwriting. I'm sorry. All right. Anyway, great show, great episode. It really helps understand Alex. This is probably the episodes they wanted to make. I'm not going to read too much into it. I was about to say this, the episodes they wanted to make about Alex before they realized how central he was to the show. But yeah, mm, this is the more. This should have been earlier. This episode should have been earlier than the college girl episode, and that this one gives us a bit of develops a bit of his character more, so you're more ready for the college girl episode. Maybe. Of course, they're not planning this far ahead. Anyway, that's this episode, Death of a Grocer. Bye!